Hey everyone, it is Oscars season. Welcome back to my second channel. Welcome back to Jack in the Books. So I've been talking a little bit more about movies on this channel, and I've actually been really in my movie era. It's such a stupid thing to say, but I have an Odeon Limitless card and a dream. I've got really into going on solo dates to the cinema. Odeon Limitless is like a cinema subscription thing where you can go and see as many movies as you want. You just pay like a monthly fee. And best believe I'm gonna get my value for my money. I think it's like £20 a month, which means you need to see a minimum of 3 films to get your money's worth. So I've done it for this month, and I'll be damned if I don't do it next month and the month after as well. So I've been to see A Complete Unknown, The Brutalist, Conclave. I bought online, rented online, Anora. I watched Queer on Movie. My next one that I want to watch is Emilia Perez. Mostly because, you guys know this, I will give Kendrick Lamar a run for his money in terms of how much of a hater he is. One of my favorite videos to make every year is my worst books of the year video because it's kind of just fun to, I was gonna say let one rip. I feel like that implies a fart, but that's not what I mean. But really let it rip in a piece of content and just be like, I really didn't like these things and here are the reasons. So listen, I'm going in with an open mind. I know that a lot of people have a lot of problems with Emilia Perez. From the clips I've seen, I don't think it's gonna be up my street. I think it's going to be in a different postcode altogether, different part of the map. But I am intrigued to watch it, and I will feed back my opinions. I have a Letterboxd account if you're interested. I will link it down below. But anyway, all this to say, as you know, my primary fascination is books. And so this channel is Jack in the Books, not Jack in the Movies, but I wanted to kind of combine those two interests today by talking about the books that were turned into movies for this year's award season. So books that were turned into movies that have ended up being nominated during this award season. And I thought we would go through them and we could talk about them, because I'm always so fascinated to see, which books get adaptations. There are some really incredible ones coming out this year, like Frankenstein is being adapted by Netflix, Clara and the Sun, I think, is Sony Pictures. Lionsgate is adapting The Housemaid, which is a huge TikTok sensation, one of the biggest selling books of last year. Of course, one of these books is Wicked. There it is. And Wicked Part 2 is coming out later this year. Mickey 17 was adapted from a book called Mickey 7, or the other way around. I'm intrigued to watch that one. So let's go through these books. We'll talk about them. We'll talk about the movies as well as... Oh no, it dropped one already. Okay, let's get started because I am gonna drop these immediately. So, Conclave. This is the second book by Robert Harris that I bought because I already had a copy of Fatherland, which is actually right behind me just here. So this book is really interesting because it's basically imagining what would have happened if Hitler had won World War II. So Robert Harris obviously has a kind of fascination with power structures, how people rise to power, political infrastructure, I suppose, how systems operate from the inside. And so that is, of course, also what we see in Conclave. Conclave is about the election for the new pope. So inside the Sistine Chapel, everyone is sequestered, so they get no access to the outside world, and they just have to keep voting until they choose the next pope. And there's interesting power dynamics and the power struggle between different people, and egos get in the way, and human flaws start to get in the way, and it kind of begs the question, is anyone actually holier than thou, as they may suggest? This book says it's about the power of God, the ambition of men, and I thought, I just loved this so much. For me, it's a contender for Best Picture. I think that I feel so conflicted because my 2 favorite movies that I've seen were Conclave and The Brutalist, but the use of AI in The Brutalist it kind of icks me out a little bit. It kind of rubs me up the wrong way. So Adrian Brody's Hungarian accent, they use some AI to kind of fine tune it and perfect it. And there's a scene with a train that explodes, which is AI generated. And here's the thing, I understand why it was used and the end result is really excellent. And it's kind of AI being used to aid human invention, but I don't know, there's something about it being in a category alongside films that didn't use AI that I think that's where my issue lies. I really am a big believer that it should be disclosed. I think that we need new legislation and regulation around AI in which it is disclosed, because when you have the best actor category and you have like Ray Fiennes, who's in this book alongside Adrian Brody, whose performance was aided by AI, like it doesn't feel like a fair comparison, which is a really, really tough thing. And I think this awards season, because all of the AI stuff kind of came out midway through awards season, I think that it's really set a weird tone for this award season, I guess. So anyway, Conclave is probably now my front runner for best film. I will say this edition is one of the few movie tie-in covers that I don't absolutely despise. Usually when you get a movie tie-in cover, it's hideous, but actually this one is pretty great. It was beautiful. I felt like it was a thriller, in a way, a political thriller, I guess, because it had me in the palm of its hand. I was mesmerized. I was like absolutely hooked on that. So I would love to read the book as well, because the movie was god tier, quite literally. Next we have William S. Burroughs with Queer. This is very interesting to me. So originally, William S. Burroughs wrote a book called Junkie, but Junkie was deemed not interesting enough to be published. And so Queer was actually an extension of Junkie. This is like the second part of Junkie. In the end, they actually published Junkie without this bit. And so this was left unfinished. And it wasn't until like 36 years had passed that William S. Burroughs finally was able to publish it, after the success of his book Naked Lunch. And there was kind of renewed interest in him as a writer. So that's kind of interesting context. And then Luca Guadagnino, when he adapted it, had to add an ending because otherwise it sort of left a bit, like I said, unfinished. Daniel Craig, I think, brings to life William Lee, the character, so incredibly well. It's a book about, so in Junkie, this guy is like addicted to heroin, and Queer is where he moves to Mexico and he's essentially trying to get off the drugs, and he discovers ayahuasca, and so he goes out into the jungle to try and find it. In the meantime, he is kind of lusting and yearning over this much younger guy, who in the movie is played by Drew Starkey. I think that they did such a good job adapting this book. The styling by J.W. Anderson is beautiful. William S. Burroughs was a deeply troubled person and a deeply troubled author. I mean, the reason that he didn't revisit the manuscript for Queer for like 30 years is because he found it too traumatizing, because when he was writing it, he accidentally killed his wife. So they were playing a game where she had a glass on her head and he tried to shoot it, and he missed and killed her, which is of course awful. He was kind of part of the Beat which is of course horrendous. He was a big part of the Beat generation with Allen Ginsberg and Jack Kerouac, who wrote Howl and On the Road respectively. So a really interesting figure in the kind of American literary landscape, specifically in the kind of 50s and 60s, and then eventually in the 80s when this was eventually published. But I thought Luca Guadagnino and Justin Koritzkis did an amazing job. They actually worked on it whilst writing challenges and working on challenges, which is crazy. I actually found out recently that Emilia Perez is based on a book. So there's this book, a French book called Écoute, which is by Boris Razon. I couldn't get a copy even though I tried really hard, but it's not like a straightforward adaptation or direct adaptation. It's more like one of the characters in that book is what the plot of Emilia Perez is based on. So it's not kind of a faithful adaptation of Écoute, so I don't think it really counts here, but I did think it was worth noting that actually Emilia Perez came from a book originally. I feel like the internet is so united in hating this movie. It's actually brought people together that I'm scared to even talk about it. But I haven't watched it yet, so I don't know. But I will watch it for the big awards. Dune, I have a long running feud with this book because I personally don't like the way it's structured. I think that the princess kind of gives spoilers at every juncture, and I think that it relies on pretty outdated tropes and conventions and expectations, especially in terms of gender. I don't know. For me, I didn't enjoy the book, so I haven't gone to see the movie Dune 2 because, well, firstly, I didn't see Dune 1, so there's that. I know that everyone says that actually the movies are even better than the books, and that they are visually so stunning, so I'm not ruling it out. I feel like maybe one time if I'm on a plane and it's on, I will watch it, but That's one of the only Best Picture nominations for me that I'm not interested in watching, purely because I have already read the book. Sometimes you read the book and you want to watch the film as well to see kind of what they do with it, but in this case, no. I've seen enough, quite frankly. This book is called What Are You Going Through? This is the movie with Tilda Swinton in it. The woman at the heart of this unforgettable novel finds that everyone she meets has a common need to have an audience for their experiences. And so she tries to pay attention, to imagine and listen to what those around her are going through. But then an old friend makes an extraordinary request and draws her into an intense and transformative experience of her own. Love, death, friendship, compassion, and so much wisdom. I just adore Sigrid Nunez, says Paula Hawkins. That one sounds really good, actually. And it's like a little 160-page zinger. Yeah, you know what? I might start reading this as soon as I finish filming. Night Bitch. This is by Rachel Yoder. I am not gonna lie to you, I found this one really hard to get through. I actually DNF'd it at maybe the 60% mark because I was really bored, which is funny because the cover says I tore through it. This is incredible. It didn't do it for me, I don't know. The film stars Amy Adams. It's basically about this woman who is feeling lonely and exhausted. She's a wife and a mother. And she's kind of like, if I have to put my toddler to bed one more time, I'm gonna lose my mind. And she does. From deep within her, she feels this kind of transformation happening. And I mean, as you can tell by the kind of fangs on the cover, you'll see what happens next. It's described as feral and unholy. I think that's accurate, but for me, I feel like I've read enough things that were like shock value. Maybe it was the time that I read this. I just didn't have, maybe it was the timing. I don't know. Maybe I should give this one another go, but let me know if you loved Night Bitch. The Lives of Lee Miller was turned into the movie Lee, starring Kate Winslet. As you can see, we have a movie tie-in cover. This is the picture that was on the original cover. Like, bring her back. Even though, I mean, I do love Kate Winslet, so I'm not mad about this one. Lee Miller became a Vogue cover girl in 1920s New York before embracing Paris, photography, and surrealism, and then dramatically changed her life yet again, reinventing herself as a war correspondent, notably in the liberation of a concentration camp. Featuring a selection of Miller's finest works, including portraits of her friends Picasso, Tanning, and Ernst, Anthony Penrose's tribute to his mother brings to life a uniquely talented woman and the turbulent times in which she lived. Then we have an adaptation that's been nominated in the Best Animation category. This is The Wild Robot. The movie version looks so sweet. I really, really want to see it. That's definitely on my list to watch before the Oscars rolls around. When Robot Roz opens her eyes for the first time, she discovers that she is alone on a remote wild island. She has no idea how she got there or what her purpose is, but she knows she needs to survive. But as Roz slowly befriends the animals, the island starts to feel like home, until one day, her mysterious past comes back to haunt her. A heartwarming and action-packed novel that is as thought-provoking as it is enchanting. I just saw also that there's 2 sequels, The Wild Robot Escapes and The Wild Robot Protects. So I wonder if this will end up becoming a series of films as well. Who knows? Something that is definitely getting a part 2 is Wicked. So we're getting part 2 for good later on this year, which I'm very, very excited about. I hope that there are some original songs in there, mostly because I would love to see Ariana and Cynthia perform at the Oscars. I'm really hoping maybe this year we'll get a live performance, I don't know, but I guess if they're planning on having some original songs next year, maybe they'll be saving their performance for the next Oscars. But yeah, this is the novel version of Wicked, which is by Gregory Maguire. It's actually a series, so I didn't realize this, but I was doing some research, and this is a 4-part series, and the 5th part is coming out this year, which is about Elphaba's childhood. So you actually follow Elphaba's like complete family tree through this series of novels, and then there's a 3-part spin-off series as well, which is about Elphaba's granddaughter. So there's actually loads of Wicked content kind of out there if you loved the movie and are looking for more in the meantime. Apparently the book is much darker than the movie was. I think it's a bit more violent. But this is one I'm intrigued to read because I firstly don't know if I can wait until part 2. Like, I've already been Googling spoilers. I know, I shouldn't. I never watched the stage version, so it's all new to me. So yeah, that is Wicked. The movie Nickel Boys is also based on a book by Colson Whitehead. I've had a mixed experience with Colson Whitehead's books. Like, I really, 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 really love The Colossus of New York. I think it's one of the best things I've ever read. But then The Underground Railroad, I felt had so many flaws. It's such an important subject area, but I thought that the story wasn't very well executed, perhaps. So intrigued to read something else by him, I'll definitely give Nickel Boys a go. I could have sworn I had a copy of it. I'm sure I've showed it on this channel before, but for the life of me, I cannot find it, which feels like the library is failing me, but I can't find it anywhere here. And also Sing Sing is based on a book. It's actually a non-fiction book about the kind of prison system, but that one is absolutely on my list too. I can't find any cinemas that are showing it, and I don't think it's available to buy and rent online yet, so I'm kind of like twiddling my thumbs, like patiently waiting for that movie to be available to me, and then once I can watch it, I will. My housemate went to see it, and she said that Common Domingo is like absolutely phenomenal in it. Now, before we continue, I just wanted to let you know that today's video is very kindly brought to you by Squarespace, and Squarespace is the all-in-one platform for building a website or an online brand. So if you want to post your movie review somewhere, hey, maybe check out Squarespace. You could create your own hub for movie reviews. And this is really easy to do actually, because you don't need any experience with coding or web design, because Squarespace has incredible templates which you can use and customize to make whatever you want. There's the ability to create a blog, an email sign-up list for your customers to have flexible payments. There's also AI SEO, which helps you to make sure that your website is appearing high on search results. This is like the good kind of AI, you know? This is what AI should be used for. Like, that's actually really helpful. If all of this sounds good, you can head to squarespace.com for a free trial right now. Give it a go, test it out, see what you can do, and then when you're ready to launch your beautiful new website or online brand, you can use the code JackInTheBooks at squarespace.com/JackInTheBooks to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you so much to Squarespace for working with me on this video, and now the next book. I think that I'm Still Here is also based on a book. I'm really excited to see that one. It doesn't come out until the end of February in the UK, so I'm, again, patiently waiting for them to drop that one. It literally comes out like 5 days before the Oscars, or maybe even like 3 days before the Oscars, so as soon as tickets become available, I will be booking mine, because I would really love to see that one before the ceremony. And yeah, I think that's everything. So thank you so much for watching this video. All the best, stay in touch, have the most wonderful day. You can follow me on Letterboxd, TikTok, Instagram, my main channel. Subscribe here if you're new, and I'll catch you very, very soon. And also I just posted a video, sorry, so many things. I just posted a video on this channel of all of my movie reviews from last year, if you wanna go check that out as well. I'll be doing it again this year, so yeah, it's like every movie I watched reviewed in one sentence or more. Mostly more. Okay, love ya. Goodbye.